My name's Gail Simpson.
I'm Aris, Georgiades. All the good ideas are
All
mine.
the ideas are mine. It's getting a little hard to tell where the ideas come from. I think we both have certain areas of things that we're interested in that we explore individually, but because we're so used to looking at those ideas from each other, it's pretty common that one person will start a discussion and we both chime in, and sometimes it leads to ideas that we work on together. Sometimes one of us will pursue them individually. It's getting pretty hard to tell where they come from these days. They just come from conversations.
It did kind of evolve organically probably 20-some years ago by sharing studio space. And, you know, you were just in proximity and at, you know, conversation about what you were working on, and it sort of evolved from there.
We collaborate as actual size artworks, and the title of this piece is Vanishing Point. It's based on the format of a ladder. It's an image that we've used before in some other projects. Aris has done a lot of work with recycled wooden ladders and aluminum ladders, and we've also done some things with stairs, and our interest in these forms has to do with these objects that you use for climbing or moving upward. I guess we see that as kind of a metaphor for aspiring to something, moving up as a way to improve yourself or enlighten yourself or achieve something. You could also see it, I guess, as a way to just get something simple done, like changing a light bulb. The ladder's drawn in kind of extreme one-point perspective. A vanishing point is the format you use for drawing something one-point perspective, like railroad tracks. And the ladder's got this exaggerated sense of proportion, wider at the base, narrower at the top, and the proportions get wider at the base and also taper at the top.
I started doing these projects, like Gail said earlier, using a lot of recycled forms, but the ladder came about with a couple different types. I think 3 pieces that used a ladder form and a sort of abstracted stairway form, and that abstracted stairway became a collaborative permanent public project up at Lawrence University. And from there, the whole notion, the sort of conceptual notion of what that means to climbing these spiral stairs. That project, they actually were 2 stairways that sort of intertwined, and we just sort of spun off from that idea of achievement or climbing. We seem to be in this kind of time now in this country anyway, where we never have enough. It always seems like we have to achieve the next great thing. And that's kind of how the ladder came about, I guess, a spin-off from all that idea. I was in search of some material to use for another project, and I salvaged a couple wooden silos. And as it turned out, that material was unbelievably hard to get. It's 24-foot long, perfectly clear Douglas fir material. And it seemed perfect for this project, so we incorporated it into that. And, you know, I guess the other thing it has is a patina to it, which you just can't get otherwise. So it seems to work for this idea of a sort of older ladder. Wooden ladders are kind of disappearing, they're becoming obsolete. And I've used that in some of my studio work, and then it has sort of evolved into this collaborative piece.
The light at the top swings in a kind of erratic circle, and it has to do with this notion of what you're climbing towards. You could see it as a broader philosophical thing, a light as illumination, but like I said, maybe it just has to do with something simple like a burned out bulb that you're trying to change.
The other thing about that light, which interests me, is the idea that it leaves this kind of ghostly presence, as though somebody had just been up there and tried to change this bulb and it didn't work. And so there's no figure actually there, but it has a presence of a human maybe.
But the swinging of it seems also kind of futile to me too. As though you could keep trying to grasp at it and it would always elude your grasp. We also wanted to make this ladder site-specific, so you can see that the ladder is not, the 2 sides are not parallel. Siting the piece was really important to us. Most of our work is site-specific, and we do usually come up with the idea for a piece in response to a particular place. We had the idea for the ladder, but when we thought about using the tapered point of the museum, that gave us the idea to change the configuration of the ladder. So the 2 sides aren't parallel. They taper in response to that 45-degree angle of the glassy point of the building. And being able to put it in that glassy point was really important to us. It's visible from the street. At night you can see the light moving more clearly. And that point of the museum also seems to have a kind of optimistic or contemporary feel to it, and contrasting that with the warmth and rustic quality of the material was part of the nature of the piece.
That was one of the main reasons for wanting to put it out here. The other obvious thing was there were no other ceilings in the museum that were this tall. This piece is, the structure itself is 20 feet tall, much less the light, but it seemed perfect out here.